You're right, Gangrene UK. You're joining us for episode 29, game review on the Cincinnati Bengals game. Well, guys, there's some smiles about, kind of. I mean, for some of you. How are we feeling? It's one day on. Don't all jump out. I mean, I was really expecting you all to be like proper going for it.
You go first. You'll never.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's a bit worn out after last night. So how are you feeling, James? We'll go through one by one.
Yeah, pretty. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? I think all Jets fans are feeling pretty weird because had the best quarterback play we've had in years, and it wasn't from the man we wanted it, really. So a bit torn, but still one of the best Jets games I've ever watched. And to come back and from an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter was pretty electric. So great game, weird situation.
What about you, Fraser?
Yeah, it was pretty special, wasn't it? For me, what I enjoyed about watching that and what made it even more enjoyable was seeing that nobody gave up on both sides of the ball. Everybody was wanting that win. You could see the passion when White caught that touchdown, just the way that even McGovern slid in. They were celebrating. The players just wanted it. And that just seems to be like missing for the last, 10 years or so. But yeah, it was pretty nice to actually watch. And to be fair, I kept saying to the wife, I couldn't believe what was happening.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it.
And you, Kane?
Yeah, it was nice. Not even just the team, but the crowd actually got into it this week as well. Heard some loud Jets chants, so it was nice. It's weird that it's not from Zach, but yeah, see what happens, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like, we know that this chat's probably going to all revolve around Mike White and Zach and anti-Zacking and everything like that. But at the end of the day, Zach isn't a feature in this game. He was injured, and the NFL is next man up. But it's also that league, we've said quite a lot. What have you done for me lately? Well, lately, Mike White's been all right. Will he still be there in 3 weeks? We don't know yet because he is an unknown. Not taken away, 511 yards total offense yesterday. I don't think we've had that all season if we had them all together. We have, but you know what I'm saying. So let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Who stood out for you? Who didn't stand out? Because obviously some people really stand out. Did anybody you feel kind of let you down a bit?
Yeah, I spoke about this earlier. Ashton Davis massively let me down. I thought he'd be a bit more aggressive and a bit better than what he was. He gave up, I think it was 6 targets on him. He gave up all 6, and it was something like 140 or 50 yards, I think it was, that he gave up.
That's half their total yards.
Yeah, it was quite a lot he gave up, which was it's a bit worrying, especially if we do trade May. It'd be a bit worrying who we're going to have back there. It'll be Davis and probably Ninesman, or however you say his name. So for me, he was a bit worrying. And again, I thought Bryce Hall had a great game. When you start looking at his stats every week about the receivers he's keeping out of the games and the numbers he's limiting them to, you can't help but compare it to the Revis stats. I know it's early, but the kid's getting better and better every week.
No, absolutely. What about you, Kane? Anybody upset you yesterday?
Ashton Davis. Same as Fraser. He just didn't make any tackles, and when he did make the tackles, he just didn't make the tackle.
But I was going to say, yeah, he didn't register a single stat.
It's just, I just don't know what's wrong with him.
I can't even tell you what percentage he played because he didn't register a stat.
I'll tell you now. I've actually got every percentage for offense and defense here. So Davis played. Where is he? Lost him. 2 seconds.
So while Fraser's looking, what about you, James? Anybody upset you yesterday?
Well, probably Davis, and maybe John Franklin Myers didn't. He registered a stat either, and he hasn't seemed to register much since his contract at the moment. Although they were getting pressure yesterday, it's just
Yeah, I mean, I know I saw it earlier. Paul mentioned it that you kind of look at it and go, well, rankings, Quinnan, and even Zaniga yesterday registered. Was that because a lot of people now are looking at Franklin Myers as our number one edge, maybe putting strength on that side, causing the stats to go the other way? I'm okay if that's the thing. Like, I think we saw it with Nick Bosa when he came in. Everybody double teamed him and they were still getting sacks because they were coming from the other side.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying Nick Bosa and Franklin Myers are the same. They're not quite there yet, but it's not far off. Do you find the percentage?
Yeah. So Ashton Davis played 98% of the snaps, which was 55 snaps. They only had 56 snaps and against the defense, which obviously Mosley and May played 100%. I think they were the only two that played 100%. So he was out there for more or less at all. So when you compare it to that, it's pretty bad. He also played 7% on special teams, which is a bit less than what he usually plays, I think. But that's obviously due to him playing more.
90 odd on
Yeah.
defense.
But yeah, that was pretty poor.
There's one player that didn't quite get mentioned in any chats that I thought let themselves down. Didn't let the team down, let themselves down. That was Mims. Like, I think he had 2 or 3 like drops that should have been catches. Like, he's still his numbers. He still had the most average per catch, 15 yards. He got 2 catches for 30 yards, and his longest was 17. Which, for his normal play, that's brilliant. But he got more action.
Yeah.
He had more snaps than any other wide receiver. He played more percent than any other wide receiver. He played 70% of the snaps in offense, and the closest to him was Cole, who played 65.
Who had 3 catches for 25 with an average of 8.3 and a long of 11. Now, Kane, who got the most receiving yards?
Mark Carter.
Now, he was legit.
He was good.
I love him.
I mean, it's one of them where you look at it, 95 in reception and 77 rushing. I mean, the kid's going from strength to strength every week. And this week was the first time I think we really saw him like pick up behind the blockers and then make space and then make someone miss, which we knew we could do. We've seen him do all the parts separately, but I don't think we've actually seen him do it. I mean, he was behind McGovern for a few of them and was still making people miss. McGovern had a better game.
Yeah.
Not McGovern, sorry. Van Roten had a better game. Still wasn't where we want him to be, but that style of play definitely suits him a little bit better where we're running behind him. But another outstanding game for AVT.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I mean, I know I shared a video in the admin group this morning of that block where he saw that they'd been caught out and he literally just leans over one hand on a player and spins them. And you're like, you are a bad man. Like a bad man. I mean, offensively, Mike White was sublime. It was beautiful to watch. And I'll never, you can't take that away from him. Doesn't matter what game you're watching, whichever you were watching, if you took his name off, he had an elite game.
Yeah.
You've seen it before across the league. We've never seen it. But 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The interceptions,
Yeah.
people are going to say they were unlucky, but he was also lucky on a few where they got tipped and they could have been picked. So I think 2's fair. It could have went a lot worse. I mean, I think at one point we even said on the chat, like, well, I know I said it. the interceptions came that quickly, and then there was a couple of wayward passes. It could have been 4. And then we're like, oh my God, could he match Zach in one game? But we kept on pushing that kind of new game plan because it was different.
It was like they told him not to force it, and it was like watching when I watched Sam Darnold the first couple of games of the season when he had McCaffrey healthy. It was like watching Sam and McCaffrey. He was just doing the little dump offs to Carter, and he wasn't forcing it. And if nobody was in space, he'd look straight to Carter for that option every time, and it worked. It worked.
Absolutely.
Actually seen someone compare it to, we basically stole the playbook, exactly what Mac Jones done to us last week.
Yeah,
basically
100%.
done exactly what they done to us.
Now,
double passes in that. Wasn't
yeah. Well, my question is, right, on that. Our offense, the way it's being built, is a run-heavy offense, run first. We're going to break you down. We're going to do it that way. So we've got a new quarterback coming in with very, very little film. I mean, to the point where the reporters, to fill out his first presser, had to go back to high school games because he has so little film on him, right? And then they're expecting this Shanahan run-first offense, and we go out and we throw bubble passes and screens. They were totally unprepared for that.
Yeah.
That is exactly what happened to us that game when Baker Mayfield came in against us in his first game, because we weren't prepared for anybody who could throw longer than 15 yards. We were like, we're going to smash you. And then Baker ripped us apart. We just did the same thing to an okay Bengals defense.
Didn't Michael Carter have 95 yards receiving?
Yeah.
95 receiving, yeah.
So at the end of the day, in a way, Michael Carter made most of his yards anyway, just by him dumping off.
Yeah, I mean,
Zach dumped it off instead of trying to force it all the time. He might have the same amount of yards.
but I think we lined and set up differently yesterday.
Yeah, the play call.
Yeah, we played with what we had available to us, and we played against what was in front of us. And we haven't done that before. We kind of go out and just play our game. We don't adapt very well. We adapt in the middle of the games. We've talked about LaFleur. Second half, he always adapts. But I think we actually adapted pre-game to the fact that we had some strangers going in. And I mean, it will have worked for us as well that Corey Davis was out. Because they don't know who number 1 is after him, because we don't know who number 1 is after him. So, I mean, offensively, it was a genius. I think LaFleur being in the booth is the right play. I'm only saying it again because I've said it for the last 5 weeks. So now I can just say it.
Well, you
and I was saying it before it was cool. But I mean, obviously, what you told us before we started, Fraser, was a massive, interesting fact. Kane, you weren't on, so Fraser, do you want to kind of talk about that little rumor going around?
Yeah, so I don't know how valid the pictures are because it's hard to tell if it's him or not. But there's pictures going about that have been screenshot from the game. John Beck on the sidelines. So John Beck was on the sidelines for the first half, and he didn't have a headset on, and he was just standing beside Flacco and the others in the offense. And then there's another screenshot of him with a headset on in the second half. But obviously, the Jets have not confirmed anything about him maybe being part of some sort of coaching staff or some sort of hire. There's nothing official on Twitter, but I've showed the lads these pictures, and they definitely spit an image of John Beck. So it'll be interesting to see in the next few days.
For anybody who is watching the video doesn't know who John Beck is, he is the quarterback guru coach, we'll call him. He runs quarterback camps, and he is the guy that Zach used to travel like 9 hours both ways to go and train with. the photo is very, very much like him. And actually, it would make sense that we kind of brought in a passing game coordinator since Greg Knapp. We've said this, we've all agreed on this a few times over the last few weeks. But yeah, it's an interesting one to keep an eye on. I'm definitely going to go on and follow him on Twitter.
I mean, he doesn't put much on Twitter from what I've seen to do with his kind of football side and coaching side of things now. But as far as I'm aware, there is a lot of quarterbacks in the league who go to him in off season who he coaches. And he's been saying for years and years and years that he's not interested in coaching in the NFL. He's not interested in helping anybody out. But be interested to see how big a pull Zach has got on him, because Zach has been his main client for the last few years. So just something to note going forward, and especially with Flacco down the sidelines, apparently being the go-to guy between LaFleur and the sideline. It was interesting just seeing Flacco standing beside him and Beck having a headset on. So it's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely. Right, defensively, standouts. I know we kind of mentioned it, but just kind of to sum up the game. If you had to give defensive MVP for that game, who are you giving it to?
Mosley.
Yeah, I'm probably
Mosley, 100%.
Some huge stops by Mosley.
Yeah, he just changes that. It's just the leadership and his experience. I know he's not making all the tackles and he's not doing it all, but I think he's just the captain of that defense, and he just brings it all together.
It's amazing what you can do when a player can see the field and understand the field.
He just adds different. I think, don't get me wrong, I think Jared Davis had a great game as well, and he brought a lot to that team there. So
it was nice not having to worry about linebacker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the young guys, but I'd like the young guys next to Davis and Mosley.
Yeah.
That would make me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Throw back at safety and then put Ham with those two. That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a shout out to Shaq Lawson.
Mm-hmm.
That interception. Have you seen the interview?
Yeah, his first ever interception.
He didn't know how to act because he's never had one in his life. Like, what? He was like, life, like college, peewee, anything. He's never done it. You know what? Class.
Was that first of the season as well, was it?
What was that? Sorry?
That our first of the season as well.
Yeah.
What I liked about the defense as well was you had people like Lawson who weren't in for many snaps. Then you had Zuniga who came in for not many snaps. Everybody produced. Everybody done the job that was asked, and it was just good to see that.
It was a personal game. That was very personal after last week.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I think the Bengals should be quite happy that they are at a position where they are a little bit better than where they were. If we'd have got the Bengals 2 years ago in that situation, that would have been an annihilation.
Yeah.
So it was a fair result. They didn't finish us when they should have, because they could have in that first half, but they didn't, and we came back. As we're getting ready for this week, it's a short week, which means that James has got loads of work to do because he's got to get this out before the next game. So how are you feeling going up against the Colts? Obviously, they have had some injury news come out today. T.Y. Hilton is out. They are missing a few other key players. We don't have all of them wrote down because we only found out about 10 minutes ago. How are you feeling?
I don't know, really. It's 50-50. Wentz is very up and down all season, but when that team's on there, they can beat anyone in the league. So we'll have to see if the run defense plays like they did against Mixon. Could be a long day with Taylor, but we'll see. Could be a close game, but could be a pounding as well. We'll have to see. Yeah.
Kane?
I think We got to stop Jonathan Taylor. We got to stop DeForest Buckner. And I think we'll be all right if we can do that. If Mike White plays, okay. If he plays as good, not as good, but like as solid as he can,
Yeah.
we might get.
Not fair.
Have to wait and see.
What about you, Fraser? How are you feeling going into it?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I'm not getting overconfident. We've been here many times. Maybe not quite like the game the other day, but we've won games and went into the next game thinking that's it, it's all changed, and then been hit back down to earth again. But yeah, we've got to be confident going into it. I mean, if Mike White can produce half what he produced there and the defense stand up, then there's a chance. It's a big game when you think of it, because we've got the Bills after that, and then I think if we've got the Dolphins after that. But it's a massive game. It could be a season changer for where we're heading, in all honesty. Because I still don't think we're good enough to beat the Bills, even if we play like we did the other day. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we would need the Bills not to play like the Bills.
Yeah. But you never know. But I'm trying not to get too confident. But let's hope.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that same thing. I mean, most people who watch the videos will know by now, I hate the Colts. I hate them more than the Patriots. I've hated them from the beginning. I just can't stand them. Everything about them. I just don't like them. But I appreciate that they are a pretty solid team when they turn up. They played very well yesterday. But you're right, on a short week, there's film on Mike White now, so I'm not expecting another 400-yard game. But a solid game I'll be happy with. At the end of the day, he's still a backup at the moment. Like, that's where he is. But he's in the driver's seat. Let's see what he can do. We've got the Bills the week after, which is obviously a longer week. And then we go Dolphins at home, Texans at home, Eagles at home, 3 back-to-back home games. Four, sorry. So we're at home 4 weeks on the bounce. So no traveling. You would like to think we can get a bit of a run going. They are believing that Zach will be back in training before week 10. So the Bills game. I think they sit him at the Bills game, sit him at the Dolphins, and then they'll play him at the Texans.
I think if Mike White is producing anything to keep the games close, any of these games, and he keeps them close, and we're actually marching up the field and getting some sort of points, then I don't think there's any reason to rush Zach back.
Yeah, I don't think they'll rush him, but I don't think they'll hold him out once you can see he's fit.
Yeah, I agree. Another stat I seen earlier, though, that is quite interesting is that Jets are actually 6-1 at home when there's been fans in attendance. So obviously last season, no fans, but going off the season before, they're actually 6-1 at home as their record so far. So it's quite interesting. You would never have thought that.
I mean, I love that stat because that is a typical American stat.
Yeah.
Let's find a way that makes it look like we're winning. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks. Obviously, we've got 12:20 kickoff on Thursday night, Friday morning. We'll all be on the page, no doubt. Fraser will probably be at work.
Obviously.
Hopefully we keep this going. But I am very much like you, Fraser. I've been here before. I've felt it. I'm not being negative at all. We played class yesterday. It's great to be winning. We need to do it a few times before I'm going to start setting off the confetti cannons. But I do feel like we're heading in the right direction. Anybody got anything they want to say before we go?
Joe.
All right. Right, guys. Thanks for joining. Don't forget, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share. We appreciate it, and we'll see you all soon.